In this lecture, we're going to go ahead and talk about lines. Okay, lines are the first fundamental of drawing. It's the most important part that you need to understand next to shape. But you can't create shapes unless you understand how to make lines. So the first thing to understand about lines is there's obviously all different types of lines. Okay, so we have straight lines, we have curved lines, we have S lines, we have swirly lines, we have random organic squiggly lines. We have all different types of lines, okay? We have lightning bolt lines. They're all different types softly, or you can draw one in between, like so. You can also create very thick lines by drawing lots of lines together, or you can draw with the edge of your pencil, like so. And you can also combine lines. So I can draw a line like that, and then I can draw another one like that, that connects like so, and then that creates a shape. So I want you to play around with this and try to create as many lines as possible and as many variations of those lines as you can think of. The next thing we're going to go over is contour lines. So what is a contour line? Well, a contour line are the lines that make up an object or an image. So for example, with an eye, let's redraw our eye really quick. So there's the basic shape. Now I know this isn't going to be perfect, but I'm creating contour lines right now. So the first phase of drawing a picture is creating the contour lines. You want to create those lines of where your object is and where it ends. So the top part of the eyelid is right there, the bottom eyelid is there, the colored part of the eye is right there, and my eyebrow shape is right there. So these are contoured lines. Let's have a look at another example. So let's say I were drawing this pen, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and set that right there. Well, where are my contour lines? Well, first off, we have this top part of the pen, the clicker, so we'll draw that. So those are the contour lines for that. Now, I know this isn't going to be perfect. I just want to quickly demonstrate for you what the contour lines are. The next part is going to be this rectangular part right there, so we'll draw that. The next part is going to be this middle piece, so we'll draw that. The next part is going to be this rubber finger holding part, so we'll draw that. It kind of has a little bit of a wiggle to it. And then the last part is going to be this right here, so we'll go ahead and draw that. And then if we wanted to, we could go ahead and add in this clip, so draw that. So these are the contouring lines of our pen. Now, the next thing to take into consideration when you're drawing line art is the line quality. Now, what the line quality is it's just the thinness or thickness of your line. This can be used to make your artwork look a lot more interesting, especially if it's more of a graphic design type of piece of artwork. And if you're creating more realistic type of artwork, it can be used to create more of a realistic look because it'll create more of an illusion of shadow. So for example, on our eye, we could change the line quality of our eye from being very thin like it is now to being very thick. So if I add in a thicker line up here at the top, you'll see that changes that line quality and it differentiates it from all the other lines. Not just in values, but there's contrast in the line quality. This is one of the biggest things when it comes to creating good looking artwork is you want to have contrast in everything, in your values, in your colors, in your line quality, in your textures. If there's no value, your artwork is not going to look good. So make sure you have different types of line quality in your artwork, and that's going to create that contrast for you. Now, let's go ahead and look at our pen and see where we could add line quality. So let's say our pen is more of a graphic type of piece of artwork and it's not going to look so realistic. We can still add line quality in there to make it look a lot more interesting. So for example, on this curve, we can make the curve a lot fatter. And then as it gets to this part, it can get a lot thinner. Same with over here. And then we can also do the same over here. So maybe we add a dark edge along that edge, and we add a dark edge along that edge, but we leave that thinner. And we can add this edge to be a little bit darker. We can add a darker edge on this curve, and same with this curve. And then we can do the same thing on this top part. So this is just creating different types of line quality, okay? So like I said, this is very important. Pay attention to your line quality and make sure that it has a lot of variety. That way you're creating that contrast in your line quality. Next, we're gonna go ahead and practice drawing contour lines just by studying them. So I have my boot right here, and it doesn't really fit into the whole shot, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and set that over here, and I'm just going to look at my boot the whole time while I'm drawing the contour lines. So remember, the contour lines are just the outside lines that make up shapes. So I'm just going to look at my boot, and I'm not even going to look at what I'm doing here, and so it's going to look very sloppy. But the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to learn how to study an image and only pay attention to that. If you can study an image and then copy it, that's what's going to allow you to be a great artist. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm first going to start with this bottom area, and like I said, I'm not looking at my drawing at all. I'm only looking at the boot, and this is going to allow me to really study those contour lines, but it's also probably going to make my drawing look pretty sloppy since I can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to create those contour lines. And even better practice is to do it in one continuous line without changing at all. So I won't lift my pencil up at all. All right, so there we kind of have a boot. Now, I wasn't looking at all. This is just because I've been studying contour lines for a really long time, and so I can really draw something that resembles a boot, and I understand where my hand is about on the paper. So you really want to practice this a lot. All right, that brings us to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture, you learned about lines. You learned how there's all different types of lines, and you also practiced a bunch of different lines and created a whole bunch of your own. You also learned about line quality. You learned about how the thicker the line is and the thinner a line is, the more contrast you'll have in your image. And the more contrast you have, the better your artwork is going to look. You also learned about contouring lines, which are just the lines that make up shapes, the outside edges of those shapes. And then you learned how to draw a continuous contouring line drawing without even looking at your drawing. So your assignment for this lecture is to find an object in your house or apartment, and you're just going to do what I just did. You're going to draw a contouring line drawing that is continuous. So never lift up your pencil. Maybe you can lift it up once. It's not a big deal if you do, but just make sure that you don't look at what you're doing. You just want to make sure that you're studying your object. You're going to be able to become a great artist. Without observing from real life, you're never going to be able to create amazing artwork that looks realistic or even caricatured type artwork that is from another world. You still need to understand the real world to create your own worlds. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.